love jelly plates. I love jelly plates. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am playing around with this gel press 12 by 14 inch jelly plate and this new, to me, speedball brayer. It's the first time I'm using this gel press plate, so I've got to open that up really fast. I do keep that outer shell, but I do discard this booklet, and then I do get rid of this clear plastic that is lining outside the gel plate. Or honestly, I've thought about keeping it and trying to paint on it for collage. Stay tuned to the end of the video where I show you how I store my gel plate in that plastic. So I'm just going to jump in here with some green gold paint and start warming up with my gel plate. I'm really getting used to the fact that there's so much space here. The largest gel plate that I had before this was an 8 by 10 and I started with a 6 by 6. I always keep a notebook over to the side there to roll my brayer out, and honestly some of those pages in my sketchbook are some of my favorites. The way that the color builds up there when you're brayering that around, I love it. For this first pull I am using regular tissue paper. I don't normally use tissue paper on my gel plate, but I found these when cleaning up my studio and thought I should use them and just see what happens. The little spots that you see on there are kind of normal when you're first using a gel plate. The paint kind of like pulls out, especially this fluid paint. And the little lines that were on there were from that brayer that I'm still getting used to. This is one of my favorite paint colors. It's called Fern by Lucas Paints. And Apricot. You'll see me use both of those quite often. So I've sped up the video here, and I'm going to do that a lot through this video. There was probably over an hour of video, and I've tried to slow it down whenever I show you guys the color of paint that I'm using, and then I speed it back up during things like this where I'm rolling paint and pulling paint. This paper here is actually packing paper that was in some of our moving boxes. And I am really loving this, the way that it just hugs on to the gel plate and it soaks up the paint and takes it all in. Ooh, I better stop and tell you what this is. So this box here is a bunch of goodies that I had from when my mom and grandfather used to wallpaper our houses, gosh, probably back in the 90s. And all these little tools, I've just always hung on to them because I thought they'd be fun to paint with. Lots of scraping tool options and these brushes. I need to go back to that funky brush there and see how it creates texture on a gel plate. I do end up using this one. And then I saw those Brayers in there the other day. So I grabbed one of those because I want to try that out before I buy a new larger brayer than the two I already have. So I just grabbed some baby wipes here to clean off that brayer since it's really old, and I know it still has some like wallpaper paste, I think, kind of stuck to it. But I just thought it'd be worth trying out this brayer. A lot of paint there. So whenever I went to remove some of the paint from that brayer onto my sketchbook, and even there, I just put a lot of magenta paint there. That color, I think it's like quinacridone, azo gold, or whatever that is. I love that, and I ended up really liking how that mixed with magenta. So I had this old map, and I decided to tear it into 4 equal parts. I like gel printing on things that already have color or design on them because then that design peeks through. So I started doing that, and some of these map pieces end up being my favorite. So here's one of the tools that I used to see my mom use when wallpapering. She would like slide this down the wallpaper, and then I remember watching the wallpaper paste like seep out the seam like between two pieces. Anyway, I'm really enjoying using these tools that, have probably just been sitting in a box or in my garage or basement like over the years. And I absolutely love the result that this created with those two colors, with those lines, and then the way that the colors of the map are showing through. And just so you know, at the end of this video, I'm going to do a flip through and show you the results of every piece that I've created in this whole video. So I know sometimes when it's sped up, it's hard to see that final piece, but I have it all at the end. So I just made a note there. This is some real-time video because I loved this piece so much. I wanted you guys to see it in real time, especially when I do the pull. And if you notice there, I did use my dryer a little bit, my craft dryer, kind of like a little hair dryer. I used that briefly to get that bottom layer of paint to dry. I can't really say that that's recommended to use a heat tool or heat product on a gel plate. I'm just really impatient and I don't use it for long, and I definitely don't stay in one place. I really keep it moving around, and I just kind of zap it with a little bit of heat to help it dry, and I move on. You might be better off using like a fan or something. Or, you can just walk away and be a little more patient than me. But when I get on a roll, I just like to keep going. This is also a great time to make note of contrast, because the reason that I'm doing some of these things is because of the contrast I know it's going to create. Like I picked the lighter side of that map with the lighter blues because I was using this really dark Payne's Gray. And the part of the reason I used the Payne's Gray paint was because it had so much contrast against the like lighter pink and the apricot color. So it's like I chose contrasting paints, and then I'm choosing a contrasting piece of paper, and it ends up being really successful. Not that that always happens. There's definitely times where I mess that up, and there are several in here, and you'll hear me get kind of upset too. I even like kept the audio in on one point later. One of the pulls I make, there's like no contrast, and it's such a bummer. But this one is my favorite, and that's why I slowed it down. I just love how things came together here. So if you guys use any old wallpapering tools, please let me know. Or if you create little lines like that with some type of scraper tool, it'll be a very similar effect. So here I'm using that large brayer again. If you noticed, I kind of like swirled the paint around at first before brayering back and forth. Sometimes that helps mix the colors a little bit better. And then here I'm trying to stamp this bristle end, like the end of the bristles, into the gel plate. I'm just showing you that brush there so you can see those really cool round bristles. I think I need to try it again and like dig into it a little bit further because it didn't really show the circles as much as I wanted, but it's still really fun. And you can see a little bit of the blue map peeking through, and I like that as well. So sometimes you'll see me using the little dryer, and then I'm touching the paint to check to make sure that it's dry. So I got this giant watercolor paper. It's 12 by 18, and I thought this will be perfect because the gel plate's already 12 inches wide, and I thought I could try this size paper. And I really like using this watercolor paper on a gel plate as well because it does a really good job of pulling up the paint. In the online course that I teach, the Layered Landscapes Painting with a Gel Plate course, I do a lot of the landscapes on watercolor paper. This stencil is from Stencil Girl Stencils. I will link to her website in the description. I used to be part of that little stencil club. It's like a monthly stencil membership. I did that for quite a while. It's really fun because rather than picking out stencils you want, stencils just show up at your door and you never know what you're going to get. And so a lot of the stencils I have in my collection now, they're not things that I picked out myself. They're things that, were just kind of surprises. And I think that's kind of fun because then you get different things and you branch out a little bit more, when you get boxes like that in the mail. This is another Stencil Girl stencil, but since it's so small, I thought it would be fun to just take these little shapes and brayer the color into the stencil all over the gel plate. And again, that's that quinacridone nickel azo gold color. I might totally be saying that wrong, but that's okay. I did step away there for a second. I changed the lighting. I thought maybe it would look a little better with this lighting setup. Here is, I think this is the first pull. Nope, it's a little bit later where I have a pull that doesn't have great contrast and I'm really bummed about it. It's that one. That just made like a really weird muddy mess. And I was so excited about the shape from that stencil. And then the green gold did not offer enough contrast at all. It's like a very transparent color. And then putting it on that dark paint background just wasn't good. But things get much better here. Another Stencil Girl stencil. I love that stencil. It reminds me of kind of like the rings in a tree. And every single time I use it in this video, I love the result. So I have to give you a heads up. This upcoming audio is from the time when I was actually creating, not right now.
I love jelly plates. I love jelly plates.
It just cracked me up because I was like really in the zone. And I guess I said that, and when I was editing, it just really made me laugh. So I had to keep it in there. And I put it in the intro as well because it was so fun. So the piece that I showed you a second ago, it had lines on it from the last time I did this technique. And I thought I would do it again because I've been kind of inspired by weaving lately, and I wanted to see if it would kind of create like a back and forth, not exactly like weaving, but lines in two different directions kind of thing. So that's why I did the lines in another direction. So it just kind of ended up covering up some of those old details, but you do get a hint of the lines in two different directions. And that's kind of what I wanted. It's just not as clear as I had hoped. So part of the reason I've been telling you like each different stencil that I've been using is because they're not all Stencil Girl. This is actually a Crafter's Workshop stencil. I got this years and years and years ago. Not sure if they still have this design, but I will link to their website. So I just wanted to clarify that I had a couple different brands of stencils. I'm not normally a red person, I'm a pink person, but that red and that stencil, I really like that. And you can see lots of the different layers and colors are just building and building and building. And the more you build them up like that, then you get all these little surprises when you're printing, like colors that maybe I used 3 or 4 pulls ago might start to pop up. And that's one of the reasons I love Gelli printing. Right there, I just did some color like only on the edge. And sometimes I do that, like I'll just decide to put colors only in certain sections. So this part was really, really fun and also really, really messy. I have this square of cardboard and you can see the like inside lines of the cardboard. And I decided to do a pattern. So I'm stamping this in, and there I was trying to like not use my hands anymore and use that blue plastic tool to maybe not get my fingers as dirty, but that did not work. So I just kept going with my fingers. And I kind of wish I had done this print on a colored piece of paper, something that already had paint on it instead of the white, but it's okay. Because I really like the texture it created, like I love that, but if I had maybe done that like on a page that already had like just a really soft color, even the apricot or like what was I thinking? Oh, like my favorite blue, the Arctic blue, something like that. If that print had been done on a really light color, I just think it would have been so much prettier, but that's okay. You live and learn.
I was expecting.
So that was just a little more real-time speed and audio for you. So you could tell I was frustrated with that pull, that last pull. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was really underwhelming. So I left in that original audio for you to see that not every pull is exciting and I don't always love it. So here I'm using a children's board book. I've decided that I want to start printing inside these board book pages. And that didn't go well either. Like it really didn't cover the page like I thought it would. So I might go gesso the board book or, you know, just keep layering up, I guess, because I don't, well, yeah, I probably don't want to gesso it because I kind of want the images to be peeking through. That's half the fun. But these prints here end up being my most favorite. And so I'm glad that I had that kind of flop earlier with that apricot color because this texture that is left over from that cardboard pattern, holy moly, like it just makes these prints sing. It's like my day can be done now. These are my absolute favorite prints. So I just start pulling up as much of this texture as I can because I love it so much and I'm just putting it everywhere. And I'm trying to pull up as much of that paint because I know I'm about to be done printing and I want to get as much paint off the plate as possible. And when you clean up your gel plate at the end, you can use baby oil. That's what I normally do. I don't end up cleaning this today like I should because I knew I was going to come back the next day and print a little bit more. I forgot. I wanted to add a little more texture there where I'm pointing, or a little more paint to kind of soften that hard line that's there. So I added just a smidge of white And then it was probably a little too much white, but honestly, I still really love this. I love how this piece ends up having so many layers stacked on top. Alright, we're getting to the end of the video here. This is me showing you guys how I store my gel plate. So I told you that I keep that plastic shell, but before you put it in that plastic shell, you want to put a piece of paper on each side of the gel plate. So right here I am laying down the piece of paper. It's just a large piece of sketch paper. Then I'm laying down the gel plate, and then I'm giving just a little tiny border and I'm cutting around the edge. So I end up having two pieces that are just a little bit bigger than the 12 by 14. Keep in mind that gel plate kind of bends and wiggles as you lay it down, so the edges aren't always perfectly straight. Then those two pieces of paper hug the gel plate, and then it goes in the shell. You do this because if you put the gel plate on the plastic, it can create bubbles and ruin, like bubbles of air, and ruin that. So here I am just writing the brand and the size so I don't forget. And one last thing about storing your gel plate, keep in mind that on a perfect day, I actually clean that gel plate with baby oil and remove as much paint as possible before storing it. That's on a perfect day. On a not so perfect day, just like I did in that previous video, I store it in the shell between paper with a little bit of paint on it. There are a lot of people that do not clean their gel plate, and there are a lot of people that spend a lot of time perfectly cleaning their gel plate. I am somewhere in that happy medium, and that is perfect either way, like wherever you guys are, but I just wanted to show that little section so you know how to store your gel plate, especially that day when it's new, because they can be kind of expensive and you don't want them to get in that shell and get the little bubbles on them and it ruins your entire gel plate. Alright, so sorry to talk over this last section here, but I wanted you guys to see my flip through. The first two pieces were on children book pages, then there were the pieces on tissue paper. Now we've got the pieces that are on map paper, and then we've got watercolor paper and packing paper. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some new techniques and fun ways to use your gel plate. This giant 11 by 14 gel plate was like a gift to myself after I recorded my first online course. I wanted to get like a new gel plate and a speedball brayer just for fun after working so hard, and it was definitely worth it. I'm going to be using this large gel plate a lot, especially to create these texture pages. And then I guess I need to figure out what I'm going to do with some of these. I know some of them I'll want to use them for collage, and some of them, especially these that are on watercolor paper, I can keep layering on here to create some beautiful abstract pieces. I will keep you guys posted on what I do with these. But I hope you have enjoyed being here with me today. I hope you've learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below in the comments section. I love chatting with you guys. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more ideas and a lot of artsy goodness that I am excited to post in the future. So thanks again for being here, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I also would love your feedback. I would love to know if you like process videos that are sped up or in real time or a mixture of both. Also, I would love to know your opinion. Do you like to hear the artist's thoughts during a process video? Or do you like videos that are to music? Not necessarily. I mean, I know there's no way to please everyone in art process videos. I'm just really curious to hear what your preference is. If you are on social media, you can follow me at Jennifer Tobin Art, pretty much on all the things. That's my website name, Instagram name, Facebook, Pinterest. and now on YouTube. And as always, and I know I said it earlier, but just a reminder, I'll have things linked in the description. And if you guys have any questions about certain colors or materials, just let me know. I really appreciate you being here, especially on these longer videos. Thanks for staying all the way till the end, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys.